Are you ready to unlock the secrets to a flawless men's scissor cut? In this tutorial, we're breaking down the process step by step, transforming you from a novice into a confident barber. This tutorial is designed for barbers of all levels, from those just starting out to experienced stylists looking to add a valuable skill to their repertoire. Prepare to start impressing your clients with a classic, stylish look that's always in demand. So grab your scissors and let's get started. We've got a great head of hair here to learn on, and this is what we're looking to achieve throughout this tutorial. For scissor cutting, I always start with wetting the hair down. I want the hair wet. You can shampoo it first, or you can just use a water spray. I'm going to separate the hair from the point of the crown right down to the back of the ear. And just make sure that the front and back are completely separated. Now the hair is quite long right now, and I would have a problem if I tried to scissor over comb. This is my preferred method, but look at how it bends. That's no good. I can't cut like that. I need to remove some of the bulk. So I'm going to start out with a bulk reduction method. This doesn't need to be too precise just yet. What we're doing here is all about bulk removal. So I'm taking sections just now from the middle of the crown over towards the right, and then I'll work my way over towards the left. All I want to do is get the hair down to a length that I can scissor over comb. So it doesn't matter if it's perfect or not perfect at this stage, okay? So kind of a fun section to be cutting on because you're not under any pressure right now. So I'll work my way towards the ear, and then I'm going to go over to the left-hand side from the crown over to the left. Now I'll just speed this up a little bit so that I don't bore you, and then we'll move to the next section. So a little bit lower down, we do need to debulk. You might get away with not taking that bulk off, but I'm going to take it off just to make my life easier. It's quite awkward to pick up vertical sections. Vertical sections being the fingers going straight up and down here. It's an awkward position because you're kind of underneath the occipital bone, but because I'm pulling it out so far, it means I can kind of get it straight and I can take a bit of that bulk off. So with all that bulk removed, now it's the fun part. I'm going to use my 6-inch home scissor, which is my own brand, and I'm going to take sections, working my way down to that long hair at the bottom. So the scissor goes in, comb underneath, and collect the hair and cut across. Scissor over comb, one of my favorite methods of cutting hair. At the bottom, there's a really thin area of long hair, and I'm just going to work all the way down and just remove that as well. Why not? Okay, we couldn't get it when we were debulking. It's just too awkward to get into that position and not really that necessary. So you can see I'm getting closer to the neck as I work my way down. It's slightly tapering towards the nape of the neck. And then over to the right of that again, more sections working from the top down towards the bottom. This is my favorite technique for cutting hair. I always say it. Look at my fingers. Do you see how the fingers hold the comb and they kind of flip the comb? It's very delicate, but that's the key to this method. It's how you hold the comb. It's the control of the comb, because it's very easy to just cut straight across something. You know, if you can hold a pair of scissors, you can cut, but it's the control of the comb and being stable and holding the hair stably. You'll notice as well, I always use the wide teeth of the comb because the wide teeth can accommodate the hair much easier. If you use the narrow teeth, they might sometimes not get through the hair and push your section up. So it'll just slow you down. So tapering down. I'll get this hair, just push it right out of the way over the ear, and then I'm going to pull down. And all I'm going to do is just look for this long hair. Now I am going to come back at the end with the little trimmer, but I'll just neaten up as best I can with the scissors right now. It is super important that you learn these methods because this is the way that cutting hair is going. Men's hair is moving more and more towards scissor cuts, longer hair, especially what we do on the top. The way I cut the top of this haircut is going to be one of the biggest trends, if not it already is one of the biggest trends in men's hair. And it's a method that you can use. And when you know it, you'll use it on everybody. It'll be a bread and butter method that when it's in the brain, it's in there forever and you know how to do it, okay? It's not difficult. I'm going to walk you through step by step, as I said. So I'll continue with the scissor over comb. Look at how that just clears a huge area really, really quickly. And we've only been working on this for a few minutes and almost the back of the head is nearly cut all the way round and is neatened up with the scissor over comb. On the right and the left, when I do the right and left sides, there's going to be a slight difference between each side, the way I cut it. I'm going to give you two options. So that's coming up and you can tell me which one you prefer. On the left-hand side, I'm not going to debulk. I'm just going to cut it with all the bulk on it. And on the right-hand side, I am going to debulk. But the reason for all of this is that we're building into long hair on top. We need some support. There's going to be a slight undercut. Okay, so there's always a little bit of polish, and I like to check over before I move on to the next part, the next stage of the haircut. I'm just going back over that little area. So this long hair on the top, I'm going to wet it all down, and I want to separate the top away from the side, okay? Let's get the top clearly and cleanly out of the way just now, and I'll pull all this hair on the side down. Now you can see I don't need a clip for this. Okay, I'm going to take sections, debulking from the back towards the front, and I can see my short hair from the back. There it is right there. So I know what my length is and I can work my way forwards from there. Each section I pick up here, just the same length, carrying it all the way forwards. We don't need to worry about over direction at this stage, but I am going to show you how to use over direction. Now that's a big word. It's a fun word. When you can add a little bit of over direction to your haircut, you can create all kinds of really cool styles as long as you understand it, and I'm going to explain it to you in this haircut really easily momentarily. So here at the side, scissor over comb again. So I'm working my way down. This scissor, by the way, 6-inch, it's Japanese steel and it is for sale in my online shop. And I will link it down below. And if you look in the shop, you'll also be able to find all other items that I sell in there as well. This scissor is also housed in Amazon, so I'll leave a link down below where you can find it on Amazon. It's a convex blade scissor, so it cuts like a razor. It's sharpened to a razor's edge. And you only get that with high quality steel, Japanese steels mainly. Okay, so scissor over comb. I'm going to work my way down now from the top down towards the ear, and when I get towards the ear, just make sure that you keep that comb on top of the ear. We don't want any skin coming in contact with the scissor blades. So a little bit on the temple there. It just frames the face. And then I'm going to smooth out and make sure that this is joined in nicely between the sides and the back. Over on the other side, remember, I'm not going to debulk this. I'm just going to do scissor over comb. Now, it seems to be working okay. The reason for that is that the comb is so close to the head at this point, whereas at the back, it was not as close. So there's not enough length on the side for the hair to bend before it reaches the required length. Did I explain that well? Okay, so basically it's still quite rigid when I'm picking it up with the comb. So I'm using the point of the scissor kind of to draw. It draws a line. You must make sure that your scissors are closed whenever you're using this technique. Remember to tell me which method you prefer. Did you prefer the debulking or did you prefer to cut it with the bulk there? It's certainly quicker to cut with the bulk. Leave a comment in the description down below on which method you would use, or do you use a bit of both like what I've been doing there? pull all this hair down. Now what I can do is I can pin it with the teeth. See how I pin it? And then I can cut across the line. This is just to make sure that the hair stands out beyond the hairline. When it's quite short, sometimes it doesn't stand out, so I'm using the comb just to pin it down. Right, the top. Now, let me show you how to find a perfect center parting. So I'm going to comb all the hair straight back. Now watch this. Just push it forward a little and look, it separates itself. And that's how you find the perfect center parting. It's the natural parting of my client's hair. If possible, always try to work to the natural parting. On the side is going to be a really fun bit. What we're going to do is over direct hair back from the front. So these sections are going to come out here, and then the front four will pull them back towards the ear, and it will create this lovely shape that points towards the eye. So let me show you. A picture speaks 1,000 words. So I'm picking up all these sections. I'm just pulling them straight out. Okay, they're vertical, nice and clean. Try and get them as clean as possible. Okay, and just trim it vertically straight up the fingers. Now, I'm at the point now where I want to start pulling back a little bit on these sections. That means that the hair has further to reach. Now, it's quite important that you get this nice and clean here, okay? We want a really tight, clean section, okay? This is what it looks like from above. You can see we've got it nice and smooth, okay? And then vertical, straight up the fingers. Now, look how long the hair at this point is now traveling from the middle of the top of the head to get all the way back to my section above the ear. This means that it's getting longer. It's much longer. And this over direction, this pulling back of the hair is what's given us this gradual shape at the side. And you'll see how it falls in just a minute. If you're ever worried about cutting a fringe too short as you're working from the back, you can always over direct back towards yourself, and you know that it's going to get longer and longer. So as it falls now, it's still very long, but the shape that we were trying to achieve is beginning to show. However, this is a little bit too long just on the cheek. I want to bring it up to the cheekbone. So really easy to solve because we've taken so much weight out. I'll just use my comb and I'm going to cut along the shape that I do want on that long hair. And look at that, it's tumbling perfectly. It's ideal, that's a great length. However, we still do have a little bit of weight which is coming from the top, and I'm going to deal with that separately. On the other side, I'm going to match up, so same method, I'm pulling back towards myself. Okay, don't be alarmed when you're doing this if in one section a lot of hair comes off, because we know that the method works, okay? You know that we're going to build this shape that gradually gets longer towards the top of the cheekbone. You could use the point of the eye as the point that you want the hair to fall at. It's up to you. Simply bring in your section above the ear a little bit shorter if you want it to be shorter towards the front. But this over direction is used in many, many ways in the cutting of men's hair and the cutting of women's hair as well. Over direction, and there's another term, under direction, is also used. So again, I'm just going to use my comb and I'm going to cut along the shape of the comb, the line of the comb. Just along, I want it to rest, as I said, just on the cheekbone. Okay, so I'm cutting along there, and I think when I let go, yes, nailed it right there. But we still have that weight on top. Let's deal with it, okay? What we need to do is just take the point right out of the middle, okay? See this point here, right in the middle? That hair is what's going to cause weight at the perimeter of our shape that lays on the cheekbone and goes back. So if we remove this point, that hair won't reach that far, and it means that we don't have as much weight falling to the sides. So just work your way back as far as you can, and when you no longer find a point, let's just double check and tie it into the sides a little bit. I'm going to go left and right of where I was just cutting, just to make sure that there's nothing that I've missed. Sometimes, you know, you pick up hair a second time and you do find a hair that needs to be cut. Hair can do that to you sometimes. You need to remember that there's 180,000 hairs on a human head, so sometimes you don't get them all. The shape's looking good. It's good to comb it all through and have a right good look. I'm going to dry this off, and I still have work to do around the edges. I mean, I'm drying it with a round brush. I would probably actually even dry it just with a vent brush. So trimmer over comb, and just, we're touching up around the edges here because it's quite a natural finish. We don't want to put in like really hard straight lines. I wouldn't be putting in a straight line like a neckline at the back on a haircut like this. It's too soft, you know. You want hair to kind of almost stick out beyond the hairline, just at the very perimeter of the hairline. I said I would use a vent brush, by the way, and the reason I said that was that the vent brush allows flow. You know, you can push the hair back and it doesn't cause too much of a curl. This hair has a natural wave, so I don't really need to worry about creating any kind of curl on it. I can just blow dry straight through it and it will curl. It's quite hard, this type of haircut on straight hair or extremely curly hair, although I quite like it on extremely curly hair. With very curly hair, I would maybe cut it about 30% longer because you need that extra length. Hair will recoil on itself. I just want to say a big thank you to all the members who have joined the channel recently and are interacting a lot with the video content. And I really hope you're enjoying all my masterclass tutorials that are in the members section. If you would like to join as a member, you may need to do that in the desktop app. Sometimes it's not possible from an iOS device. I think it is possible on an Android device to join. But if you do join, I'm sure you will find the member-only content very, very useful. Ideally at this stage, you're just taking off the neck hair. We're not really focusing too hard on going into the hairline or creating any kind of trimmer over comb taper or anything like that. Last thing to do here is just trim down at the very end of the nose, a little point. There's always a little point there. Just pull it down and trim it. I'm going to give this a comb through. Wow, look at how that sits when it's combed. I love this hair type. It combs through no problem. If you don't have a big comb, there's a link down below for that as well. Get yourself a big comb. They're great for finishing. The clients love to see how their hair looks when you comb through with the big comb. Tell me what you think. Is this useful for you? I can almost guarantee that if you're cutting hair, you're going to start doing this a lot because this is a popular style. It's really taken off in barbering right now. You see it everywhere. You see it in popular culture. So I'm glad that I got to share it with you. And I'll see you again in my next video.